Hello, everybody. Sunday Adelaja here. Please go ahead and share this message with your friends and family members. We are continuing on the qualities that you will require, that you will need for you to be somebody that is high yielding. These are not the normal, regular qualities that will just make you to be result oriented or highly productive or just a valuable person. No, I want to give you qualities that will help you to build the high qualities, that mean the high yielding personality in yourself, qualities that will build you up from inside. I'm not looking at those qualities that will just help you from outside to pump up your muscles and make you to become something that greater than who you really are. But I'm giving you qualities that will build you from your inside. They will build your inner person up. That will make you to be a person of quality. That will make you to be the kind of person that you need to be. That will always be bringing about results, high quality results in everything that you do. But this world that we're living in today is more about quick fix. So they tell you to go and do this and this, but not paying attention to building you up from inside. But what these teachings will do to you is that they will tell you how to become the person we are talking about, to build you up inside so that you are actually in collaboration with who you are inside and what you are doing outside. So whatever you are doing outside and the picture you paint outside is not against the person that you are inside. So yes, it's becoming a person of value, becoming a high yielding person. And another thing is that these qualities will help you not just to become high yielding person here in the world, but to become high yielding person before God, in the eye of God, so that God could also value you and God could praise you and God could honor you. And these qualities will sustain you not just in the world, they will sustain you in death, and they will sustain your memory on the earth. They will also sustain you in heaven. So these are real, genuine qualities that will help you to become a high yielding person. Now, so the next quality that I'm going to talk about today of a high yielding person is humility. You need to be humble. If you are not humble, you will not go far in life. So to be a high yielding person, you need to be humble before yourself. You need to be humble in the sense of not seeing yourself greater or higher than you really are. You need to see yourself broken before God. And that's what God said when He says, blessed are those who are poor in the spirit, because theirs is the kingdom of God. The more you can break yourself, the more you could be broken before God, the easier it is for you to access the grace of God. The easier it is for you to open the gates of heaven to yourself. So that the ability not to see yourself as bigger than life and as bigger than every other person or being superior to other people, there is to your advantage. Because when you begin to fall in love with yourself and begin to overvalue yourself, what often happens to people is that you turn yourself to an idol. You idolize yourself. And when you idolize yourself, that is pride. And the Bible tells us that, pride comes before downfall. Pride comes before downfall. So, but the other danger in idolizing yourself is that you begin to worship yourself. And what that means that you are placing yourself in the place of God. And you are putting God down, and you are making yourself God. And if you put God lower than yourself, you make yourself the center of focus, then you deprive yourself of His protection. That's why we must always be submitted to God. God is on top and we are under Him like this. Then we are under His covering. So you are protected from and shielded from every pressure that might be coming. But when you are over God, then your head is cut off by the pressures and the attacks that come on a daily basis that you are not even aware of, because God is protecting you. So please go and share this message. Go and share this message with your friends and family members. And this might be able to help somebody. So it doesn't matter how successful you are. Actually, if you find people who are truly successful, you will see that a lot of them are really humble. People like Bill Gates, they are really, really, really humble people. People like Mark Zuckerberg, they are really humble people. Why? Because real success desires humility. Because for you to really be great and successful, you will have passed through a lot of hindrances, a lot of hurdles, a lot of so many challenges that might have humbled you through life. So that's one of the reasons why challenges come to us, because those challenges come to humble you. Those challenges come to help you be able to know that you are just an ordinary man and that you are not God yet, and that circumstances could turn either way, and that you are at the mercy of God. So humility helps you to be in touch with your humanity. Humility helps you to recognize the fact that you are fallible. And the more you are able to recognize that you are fallible, the more you are able to depend on God. The more you are able to be in touch with your humanity, the more you are able to depend on His infinite power, on His superhuman resources. Then God will be there for you. God will be able to supply you with your needs and with a lot of other help that you could not give to yourself. But when you put your faith in yourself, when you think that you are the Lord and the God of your life, then definitely you don't need God, and you put God off from participating in your life. So a lot of disadvantages in not being humble, a lot of disadvantages in not being broken, the ability not to be broken before God and before yourself is going to lead you to a ditch. It's going to lead you to some walls, one way or the other, sooner or later. But now, there is a difference between being humble before God and being humble before men. Of course, there is a need to be humble before men too, but you don't humble yourself before men to the extent that you downgrade yourself beyond what God calls you to be, or beyond how God sees you. So, the most important humility before God is to be able to see yourself the way God sees you, to see yourself as you are and as God says you are. But when you come before men, the humility that is respected in terms of other men is that you don't put yourself over them. Don't see yourself as better than other people. Don't see yourself as superior to other people, because other people are also created in the image and likeness of God. So, respect them. See them as your brothers and sisters. And, that is humility that is required when it comes to another man. Don't try to dominate them. Don't try to see yourself as better than them. Don't try to see yourself as, or see them as worse than you, or as a lower being than yourself. So, but when you are able to respect them and see them as brothers and sisters to you, that is humility that is required before man. But the Bible also says in James chapter 4 verse 10 that God gives grace to the humble. You see, the grace of God only belongs to those people who are able to humble themselves, and He resists the proud. So if you or be able to humble yourself, you access more of God's grace. You access more of God's blessings. God is generous to give His grace to those people who humble themselves. That's another reason, for you to be a high-yielding person in life, you need a lot of grace. All of us need a lot of grace, even to go through life successfully, and to be able to weather all the challenges of life, and be able to become successful in this life, and be able to even leave your mark in history. You need a lot of help from people, a lot of help from God. So we need to be humble, and that humility makes the help of God, makes the grace of God to be accessible to us, makes the grace of God to be accessible to us. There are so many scriptures that tell us about humility, being humble before God, and but even Jesus himself was humble before God. But sometimes we think that it's easier to be humble before God. But how do you humble yourself before man? Well, there are different ways of humbling yourself before men. One of the ways is like what I've said. Humble yourself before men means see them as, your brothers and sisters, as people like yourself, people who, just like you, are made in the image and likeness of God. No matter their status or their position in life, just see them as people just like you, who are made in the image and likeness of God, like yourself. But when you begin to see them and see people as if they are not up to your level, and that you are higher than them and that you are superior to them, that is where the problem is. Because then you are humiliating and you are putting down the person who made them, the God, the creator that created them. So because God lives in everybody, to put anyone down is the same as putting God down. Let's check out the scriptures. Matthew chapter 18. Matthew chapter 18. Let me see. Okay, this Matthew chapter 18, we see the story. I think I'm not going to be able to read this whole thing, but we see a story here about two servants. Yeah, two servants, and one of these servants was owing his master, let's say, $10,000, and then he couldn't pay. Of course, he defaulted. So he was supposed to be punished for it and put in prison and jailed. And he was begging his master and said, please forgive me, forgive me, and that forgiving my sin, my debt, the money I owe you, my credit. So the master heard his cry and decided to forgive him. Then a few weeks later, this same servant that was owing $10,000 met another servant who was owing him $100. See the difference between $10,000 and $100? And this man was also begging him. The other servant was now begging him and saying, please forgive me, I don't have the money, please have mercy on me and all that. And instead of him to remember the way the other person forgave him, and also to forgive this other servant, what did he do? He was so mean and fierce with this other man and refused to forgive him. Not just refusing to forgive him, he insisted that this other person, who owed him just a fraction of what he was forgiving, that this person should be taken to jail and put there, like locked up there. So what is that? The man doesn't have brokenness. He doesn't have humility. He doesn't relate to life like he would like other people to relate to him. He doesn't relate to others like he would like for others to relate to him. So he's not humbled. So there are a lot of pretenses around humility. You see, the man himself was humbled when he needed forgiveness. He tried to be humble, or he pretended to be humble when he needed somebody to forgive him. He was crying and rolling on the ground to forgive. But your real humility is assessed and is judged by how you relate to people who are not superior to you, but who are below you, people who you see as inferior to you, or people that you think that are not on your level. So the way you relate to them, are you able to see them as the image of God? Are you able to respect people that are below you? Is that kind of humility is much more. That kind of humility is much more a show and a demonstration of what humility is than when you are bowing down to people who are ahead of you or who are your senior, and that sure doesn't show humility. Humility is really shown when you demonstrate humility to people who are below you. Many different other examples that I could use from the Bible of people, not knowing what real humility is about. And even in my own life around me, I see people behaving and so nicely to me, and you would think they are holy saints, but when you hear the way they are behaving to other people, you'll be surprised, because they don't relate to other people the same as they related to you, and they don't relate to other people the way they expect them to relate to themselves. So humility is very important in life. When you are truly humbled, it's not just God alone that will elevate you. Even doors will be open to you. Other people, God will just be using people to open doors to you, because God gives grace to those who are truly humble. I told a story like that. That story is in Luke chapter 17. Very interesting story, and that I told the story a few days ago about these about the master and the servant that go to the field. Both of them have worked the whole day, right? And by the time they come back, the master, even if the master has not gone to work, even if the servant, I think the way it is in the Bible is that the servant had gone to work all day, and even though the master was at home, but when he comes back from work, because it's a servant, he doesn't say, "Oh, I've been busy the whole day and I've been working the whole day, and now let me go and feed myself and put myself in order before I feed you." No, he doesn't say that. He says, "No, you are my master. Let me come and feed you before I take care of myself." This is the kind of attitude that God wants from us. God doesn't want us to be claiming something, because what I hear these days is that pastors, for example, will not go to preach in places until you can pay them some money ahead of time, or they will give you, or they have to name some ridiculous amount of money that you have to pay ahead of time for them to even consider coming to your meetings. Or if they come to you, you must give them some share of the money, otherwise they will not. People are not behaving like this servant. That no, what this servant says here is, Jesus said actually after the parable, he said, "So likewise you," that is Luke 17:10. "So likewise you, when you have done all these things," so do everything that you need to do. Do everything that is required of you. Do everything that is in your power to do. And when you have done everything you are commanded to do, you have to say, that should be our attitude as servants of God. We are unprofitable servants. We have done what was our duty to do. We don't deserve praise. We don't deserve honor from men. We don't deserve all kind of accolades from men. We are slaves and servants of God. We are serving God, and what we do for Him. We have done what depends on us. We are unprofitable servants, and we don't demand. But so all this craze about people demanding for tithe and offering, people demanding for all kinds of offering, faith offering, prophet offering, all these things are fraud. A lot of fraud going on in the church, just because people don't want to see themselves as servants of God. But what God has said here is that we should look at ourselves as servants who don't deserve to be compensated or to be praised or worshipped. We are servants of God. If you want, you can say, you can honor us. If you don't want, you don't have to. But we know that our honor is coming from God. So when we talk about humility, let's start with humility before God. It's always important for you to see yourself as nothing before God. That is not what you should be talking about in public and say, "Oh, I'm nothing." No, this should be something between you and God in your personal relationship with God. The ability to be broken before God and to break yourself down and kneel before God and let God know that it is by His grace and by His goodness that you are who you are. That you recognize the fact that you are nothing before God. So that is the first kind of relationship. It helps to brighten and to deepen your personal relationship with God when you are able to be broken and practice brokenness before God. Secondly, always depend on God in everything you do. Even though you have the ability to do it, even though you have the skills, but always let God be aware that you are not dependent on yourself. You don't see yourself as the source of your success, as the source of your power, of your progress. Let God always be aware that without Him you are nothing, that you depend on Him, that even when He has given you the grace, the power, the wisdom to do what you need to do, you still come back to Him and say, God, I realize that this wisdom is from you, this strength is from you, this ability is from you, and I submit it to you, and I submit that you will use it through me. So these things will help you to be highly efficient, high yielding person, because you are combining God's ability with your own ability. And besides your own ability, you are actually submitting to God, so that because when you submit to God like that, God gives you more grace. He opens more doors and more opportunity to you. Another way for us to be humble before God is to always give Him praise. Always give Him praise in everything we do. Always worship Him, thank Him for everything, and acknowledge Him. Return the praise to Him. Give Him all the glory. And, in all things, even when things are not the way they are supposed to be in your eyes, even when you don't seem to be, when things don't seem to be going the right way, always find a way to credit God and acknowledge God and thank Him for His wisdom, because He knows what you don't know. And He will always make things work out in the best way. But when it comes to people, being humble doesn't mean you have to reduce or remove your who God has said you are. So you have to know who you are and who God has said you are, but make sure that you are also not putting down another person below what God has said He is. Make sure that you are not looking at another person as if he is below you, or he is not made in God's image just like yourself. So don't dominate other people. Just honor them, respect them. And the way to do that in the best way is to seek God in them. Every human being carries God's image in them. Everybody carries God's image and likeness. So see that image and likeness of God and just honor them for it. Give people dignity. Give people worth. Don't insult people. Don't disgrace or embarrass people. That is how we humble ourselves before people. That's how we honor people and we humble ourselves before people. Share joy with people. See people with joy. Let there be peace and harmony in your relationship with God. All these things also show our humility before God. Don't slander people. Don't malign people or falsely accuse people. These things, show that you honor them and you respect them as well. Another way we could also show humility before man and God is that we are ready to be anything and everything for God and even for others. The ability and the readiness to wash the feet of the brethren. That's another way we could be humble before men. We wash their feet, we serve them as unto God. The willingness to be everything and do everything and be everything, be anything for people, just to be able to honor them, to be able to honor the God that is in them, to be able to respect them. And that is another way we could all humble ourselves before other men. So humility will help you to become a high yielding person, because you are not depending on your own wisdom And when you don't depend on your wisdom, God's wisdom will be open to you. Humility will help you to become a high-yielding person because you don't worship yourself. And when you don't worship yourself, you are not the end in yourself. Your possibilities become infinite. Humility before God, humility in life is important because when people generally people who are humble. People don't like cocky people. People don't like people who are proudful and who are boastful. People like people that are humble, that honor them. People like those people that recognize them and don't see themselves as superior to other people. So humility is one quality that will help you to be a high-yielding person. It will help you to be a high-yielding person. And even in your family life, when you're humble before your spouse or before your wife or before your husband, people see that as weakness, but it's not really weakness. When you humble yourself in your home, even before your children, then there is a possibility for you to build a better relationship. So humility is required in life, and humility will help you at your workplace, in the society. Even if you are a president, when you are humble before the people who have elected you, they feel that, and they want to acknowledge that, and they thank you for it. And it's a requirement. But if you want to just rule over the people who have brought you to power, and you want to just tell them that you are the boss here, you are the almighty here, they will all run away from you. People don't like that. People don't like to be debased, to be humiliated, to be dehumanized. People like it when people honor them. It's one of the primary requirement and desire of humanity. Everybody wants to be respected. Everybody wants to be honored. Everybody wants to be important. So it's a part of humility to treat people like that, to honor them, to respect them despite their position in life. The Bible says we must honor all men. Yeah, the Bible says we should honor kings, but it also says honor all men. So that ability to honor other people, honor ordinary people, is very important, and that is what will show also how humble you are. It displays and shows humility when you are able to honor all men. God gives grace to the humble. God's grace will come to you even through people. God's grace will come to you through people as well. Well, I think that will be enough for today. I would just like to encourage you to go join the mentorship program that we have. The mentorship program is by going to sundaydelajablog.com/mentorship, sundaydelajablog.com/mentorship, and you can just fill the form and join for free. You don't have to pay anything for it, even though it's supposed to cost you $3,000 a year, but you don't have to pay for it. And go also and write for HMT. If you want to attend one of our History Makers trainings, HMT, go and write to hmt@godembassy.org, hmt@godembassy.org. And if you have not yet gotten our telephone number for our WhatsApp, we have a WhatsApp number from where we send short messages, compressed messages to people in Nigeria who don't have data, who don't have the possibility to watch 2, 3, 4, 5 hours video. So we'll commit to send them every day short videos. So if you know anybody in Nigeria or anywhere in the world that don't have the money for data, please send their numbers to us, and we commit to send messages to them on a daily basis. So thank you so much, everyone. I think that will be all of that for today. Let me see if I want to continue this series or not. There's so many other things I could still talk about, but I might have to finish this series here. There are other things that I wanted to talk about, like hard work, but I already did a whole series on work. Diligence. I have a whole message on diligence. Things that could help you to be a high-yielding person. Love. I already spoke about love. So I think I will end this particular series on this one. And then I will start another series thereafter. So go ahead and become a high yielding person by living a lifestyle of a high yielding person. All right. Thank you so much. Peace.